Hello and welcome into another edition of Sitting Down with Sgar. I'm the football voice of the Hoyas, Jeremy Huber, joined by Georgetown head coach Rob Scarlatta. Coach's guys coming off a hard-fought loss against Richmond last week. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, Jeremy, great to have you.
Coach, just want to start off here, kind of softball question, your thoughts on the matchup against Richmond.
I can use softball questions. Good football team, well coached. Really thought that we played well and played probably as well as we have all year and made some critical mistakes that you can't do in these games. So had our chances to, earn a quality win and really going to learn from that, as we approach these last 2 weeks of the season.
And Coach, don't want to drill down too hard on that, but I have to ask you, it feels like as a head coach, you got to have some mixed feelings because, talking to Ryan Sakamoto, your old SID back in the day at the Patriot League, talked about, good grief, the talent level is just so different than what Coach Sgar has kind of brought along in this team. So you're playing a Richmond team that's in the playoffs last year, played them toe-to-toe in a heavyweight type battle, but then you kind of creep in with some of those key 15-yard penalties that it felt like you and your staff had really done a great job of getting your team away from that, and they kind of pop up in the worst time. Is that kind of the battle for you?
Yeah, there's very little margin for error in all these games against quality teams, and I don't care if you put the NFL on, the SEC, all the way down to the Patriot League, and then into a high school game. When we watch all the scout film, you have to be smart and make plays when they're called for. And I give our kids a lot of credit. We made some mistakes going from up by 21-10 to having a chance to tie it there 24-all. So our team never quits. They play extremely hard the entire game, and love how they stick together. Hopefully we can be about 5 plays smarter this weekend as we approach Fordham.
Coach, getting back in with the some of the performances, Savion Hart, another fantastic performance. You guys have talked about him just being a special player. He really showed it against the Spiders on Saturday.
Yeah, Savion's tough. If you give him a crack, he's going to get out and get going. You saw that in the long run. There were a couple guys that had angles on him and a couple guys that had straight shots on him, and he beat all of them to the end zone. So, that's a really impressive run. I was probably more impressed with some of his 4 and 5 and 6 yard runs, gaining tough yards, especially earning yards after contact. So, I really love seeing his progression through the year. And honestly, I think for as physically talented as he is, he's starting to really get a great feel for the running back position. And really do think his best football is in front of him.
Coach, be remiss if I didn't bring it up. Had some trouble with the read option exchanges, and it doesn't seem like that's been an issue for you guys this year. Was there anything you and the staff could pinpoint why that was an issue on Saturday?
No, to be honest with you, we took a good look at every exchange that we've had in the game, and we work on it every day. We do on the line, so a couple of those things that were some alignment issues, some speed in the mesh issues, and some things that we're really drilling down to with the kids. And, I give both Savion and Des Thomas a lot of credit because there was no finger pointing and no complaining. They were just trying to figure out how to get it fixed on the sideline. So as you said, all about the ball is really important to us. Knock on wood, we've done a good job throughout the year, in the turnover battle in most of these games. And, when you have a critical error there in a tie ball game in your own end, you can complain about it or you can say, put the ball down and let's play. And, it came down to a great play by Richmond against, one of our best players in Giancarlo Rufo. And I can live with that. He was in the right spot and got beat on that play and actually earned the game ball for us on defense for the first play over the entire game. So even watching us drive the ball down and unfortunately getting the penalty on Jimmy Kibble's catch that put us, in the red zone down there. So, you really can't argue with the fight in our team. Sometimes I wish we were a little bit smarter, and hopefully that's what we're building on this week.
Coach, since you went there, I want to hit on Giancarlo again. He's gotten dinged up over the last couple of weeks, but just keeps fighting his guts out and showing how great of a player he is. How important is he to have on this team?
Yeah, he's an absolute warrior. He's who you want to coach. He's got a great opinion in the room when he's a captain and with the council, and he does a great job of communicating what we're trying to accomplish as a staff to the team and his position group, the defense, and then the whole team at large. So I don't think there's anybody on our team that has more respect well earned from our players and staff. And, it's great to see him battle through some things and continue to play at an extremely high level.
Coach, before we get to our sitting down with Scar spotlight, wanted to touch on one more offensive player. We know right now on the skill positions, your running back room's getting back to health. Your receiver room's a little bit dinged up as well. So you need a compliment to Jimmy Kibble. And Isaiah Grimes gave you that on Saturday, had a couple of big catches for some big yardage. We know the athlete he can be. How important was it him to kind of step up and show all his skill set?
Yeah, you used to say that Zay was a really good, great basketball player that was playing football. And if you watch what he's done with his game, he doesn't have a ton of receptions, and being able to create edges and block and do those things on the perimeter for us has been really critical. So great to see him catch a couple critical wheel balls for us, and we all know that he's a weapon in the pass game. I've loved watching him complete his game this year and be able to be a on-line tight end, a move tight end, block on the edge, as well as being the pass catcher that we've seen over the last couple of years. So, again, I really love his development. He's one of those guys that's always in the lab, always trying to catch more balls and picking the coach's brains and trying to get better each day. So that's been great. And it was awesome to see him make a couple contested 50-50 catches on Saturday for us.
Well, Coach, we now will switch over to our sitting down with Scar spotlight. It's another upperclassman. It's John Caramonico, the Hoya defensive lineman, again out of North Carolina. And John joining us on the show. And John, just an important part of the Hoya defensive line. And there he is, John Caramonico. Thanks for joining us on Sitting Down with Scar.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
John, Coach wanted to get you on because you're a senior, you're winding down your career. And what has it meant to you to be a Georgetown Hoya?
It's meant a whole lot to me. I've met a lot of lifelong friends here, a lot of people I'll know for the rest of my lives. And I'm just really grateful for the opportunity that Coach Sgar gave me. I wasn't highly recruited out of high school, had to go to post-grad school, and then got a great opportunity here at Georgetown. I hope that I've made the most of it.
And John, we talked in the preseason, our media day, where we check in with a bunch of guys, and you told a pretty interesting story that you kind of weren't planning on going to college. You kind of were going to go a different route. Your parents kind of talked you into post-grad, and a couple things kind of happened where you end up on the radar of Georgetown. How thankful are you that you changed your mind and you got this opportunity from Coach Scar and company?
Yeah, so thankful. It's been a life-changing experience for me and met a lot of great people and got a world-class education as well as playing on some pretty good football teams. So had a really fun time.
And if I remember correctly, I'm bringing you in, Coach Scarlatta. Cole Pascucci played a little bit of a role in getting John there. What can you tell us about that, Coach?
Well, it just set the record straight. I wanted to have mine because he's the best looking guy we got. We had this conversation earlier this week about I've never seen him without his mustache and his beard. And I shared with him, my dad just turned 80, 85, and I've never seen him without his mustache. So we're kind of chuckling about that. But, you have those glue guys on your team, and I know you'd appreciate it, Jeremy, from the position you played. Playing the defensive line is not glamorous all the time. And, John is one of those guys that's fought through every injury that you can list and never complains and is always out there ready to go. So when you talk about the development of our program, the talent level, what's come up and what we've been able to build, John's been a huge part of this foundation with, this group of seniors. Saturday will be bittersweet for me, for them. They were here before Cooper was, and now they're here with Cooper Field. And, we'll honor all 29 seniors in fifth years, as well as our team impact member, Caleb Peterson, here on Saturday. So, still have, 2 games left, 1 at home, and really looking forward to doing honor to these guys and their families. And, I named John the game captain on Monday this week, which is a little unusual for us because I wanted to set the tone with what kind of week I wanted to be with our last time being able to, play on the hilltop all together.
John, let's get back to you. And I was talking to somebody a couple of nights ago, actually. It's been about 25 years since I played college football, a little longer since Coach Scar, but I do remember one of the fun things about being a senior was kind of having that chance to guide some of the younger guys along. I know this is a program that really preaches that anybody can be a leader, but how fulfilling has it been for you, especially this year with a lot of young, talented guys that could really take the football and move it forward from what you guys set up to be able to kind of give those guys some lessons on the gridiron?
Yeah, Coach Scar and Coach Steve done a great job of really recruiting quality people for the D-line room. So first starting there, we got Dean, Chicozzi, Folu, all the new guys that have come in. and they've been awesome additions and they're just great people. So you just want to help them because they're awesome people and they try really, really hard. So it's great to always want to leave a place better than you found it. So we started 2-9, hoping to help these freshmen get this thing rolling back into maybe a 9-2 season. So that's kind of where you want to take it. You want to always leave it better than you found it. So we've done a great job of recruiting quality people here, and it's a joy to help them, joy to work with them every day.
And John, we'll wrap you up on this one. I know as an old defensive lineman, it's tough to get sacks at your spot, but you've had at least a half a sack every year you've been here. This year, you haven't had one yet. Now, one, is that something you're looking for? Number two, are you going to have one of your patented celebrations ready? Because I know you've had some good ones over the years.
I do have a celebration ready. It's been a few weeks in the works because we haven't necessarily been rushing the passer as well as I would have liked to. But yes, we're definitely hoping to get a sack, and I'm hoping that you'll love my celebration. Absolutely.
So I guess, Coach Scarlett, you and John going to go up to the officials ahead of time and just make sure the celebration is kosher so we don't have any issues there?
Yeah, listen, if that winds up being one of the flags we have, I won't say I'll live with it, but I'll probably chuckle about it afterwards. Maybe in January, February, but not in the game. So, we always tell them we want to have a good time. Just get to our sideline. You can do whatever you want once you get over to our sideline. So we'll be all right.
Well, we hope to see you dancing a little bit, John, and taking the quarterback down the line of scrimmage. John Caramonico, thank you so much for joining us on the Sitting Down with Scar Spotlight.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Well, Coach, we'll wrap things up talking a little bit about the opponent this week. Kind of give us your thoughts on a Fordham team that obviously the record isn't what you would like if you're up in the Bronx, but they have played some football teams very tough, had that really good win against Holy Cross earlier in the year.
Yeah, I think you throw the records out. When you look at this game goes back for our alums and the two programs. It's got a lot of history to it. We just went back through actually the last 5 games that we played with them. Last year, Fordham taking it in the Bronx and then us upsetting them when they were ranked 17th back here in 23. And they're just back and forth ball games. So I think anytime that you get into some of these rivalries, we have 2 of them that close the season with Fordham and Holy Cross. You throw the records out. We want to make sure that we're doing a great job preparing. And this week has really been Hoyas against Hoyas. We're trying to eliminate the penalties and win those 5 plays. I know I've said it a couple weeks. We played some really, really good football here. Probably the best that we played in maybe the history of the Patriot League. And we still haven't put a complete game back together. And talked to the players today extensively about that fact. It's like, what do you want to put on tape? What's your identity? You have a chance to do some really good things here, closing out with, hopefully a win here for our seniors on senior day. And but I really don't put a lot of stock in the records because I know the teams are playing and how close these games are. You go back through our Bucknell game, our Lafayette game, our Morgan State game, our Colgate game, our Richmond game. And if you could cherry pick the 5 plays, they're wins versus losses and vice versa. So, very small margins for errors, and that's where we want to be playing important games in November. So I think it's going to be a great matchup.
And to wrap it up, Rob, you look at this weekend, it's senior day. It's a rivalry game in Fordham. It's a chance to have that kind of elusive 500 record, clinch that with a win. And again, you've got an emotional team, and that's a strength because these guys love playing for each other. Do you have to do anything different to make sure these guys focus in on, look, all the outside stuff is great, but we have to play a clean football game and we'll come out doing pretty well?
Yeah, you try and say, even in a place like Georgetown, there's always something going on, right? So we talk to the players that the only people that really know what's going on are the people that are in the room with us every day that you're staring at. And for us, it's kind of check it at the door and be where your feet are. We talk every week about, being focused and being present. And, the challenge in front of us is a well-coached, Fordham football team. Coach Collins done a great job up there. Week in, week out, you see that they have good players and good schemes, and they're in every ball game. So I know that our senior leadership, starting with guys like John and Rufo and Jimmy Kibble and Brock Beestick are, in the right mindset, understanding what this is. They've been here before. They've been in emotional football games, and I think we really need to be able to enjoy that and harness it. This is the one time this group will be together at this point to play a Fordham team in Georgetown. And we talk about cherishing those moments because you can't recreate them once they're done. and really enjoying the journey that we have here. This team is, like I said, it's a really fun team to coach. You saw me light up when we're talking about John, and I'm really appreciative to their parents and their coaches and mentors and grandparents and people that got them here, because it is a very unique group, and extremely proud of the work that they've done, and looking forward to closing out strong here in the last two.
Well, Rob, you'll be able to honor that whole group of folks and these great kids on Saturday on Senior Day. Good luck in that matchup against Fordham.
Excellent. Thank you, Jeremy.
And that'll wrap it up for another edition of Sitting Down with Sgar. Remember, Georgetown wraps up the home schedule on Senior Day versus Fordham. You can see it in person if you're in the DMV, or watch online on ESPN Plus on Saturday. Thanks to Coach Scarlata, Georgetown defensive tackle John Caramonico, and our producer Eliza Kravitz. That's all for this edition of Sitting Down with Scar. I'm Jeremy Huber and Hoya Saxa.